What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Masters of Evil podcast. I'm Mike, joined with the boys as always.
Yeah, Tom PSDN on Instagram.
Alan, Doom Wizard.
And tonight we got a special episode because we are joined by Tony Gregori, who is the artist on the recent book that just came out, The Worst Dudes. Welcome, Tony.
Hi. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Good. Yeah. Awesome, man. Thanks. So tonight, as normal, you guys know that we pick a book every week at random, and we read it, whether it's a single issue or a full graphic novel or sometimes a full run, and then we like to talk about it. And this week, I believe Alan brought this to the table. Is that correct, Alan?
I think it was me.
I think it was you. I believe it was me.
It was you. All Alan's fault.
I think there's a little confusion. We all share an Instagram account for the Masters of Evil, so I think there's a little confusion at first at who was talking to you. But
it was me the whole time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. So this is the first issue just came out, I believe, this past Wednesday, correct? And it's published by Dark Horse Comics, yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself real quick, and we'll dive right into the book.
I live in Missoula, Montana. I'm a comic book artist. On The Worst Dudes, we're published through Dark Horse Comics. I've also done series for Vault Comics and been in several anthologies, and also kickstarted. Been part of like 6, 7, or 8 Kickstarters, either with my partner in crime and best friend David Crispino, writer, or other gentlemen like Kevin Cuff and Bob France from Metal Shark Bro. And I've been drawing comics for almost a decade now, full time. And I'm just excited to be here to talk about The Worst Dudes.
Worst
Dudes is sorry.
Right?
What's that?
I was going to say, sorry, you have a new Kickstarter starting pretty soon, right?
Yeah, a week from now, with Bob France and Kevin Cuff. They wrote Metal Shark Bro, which is a Scout Comics book, if anyone's familiar with it. We're doing a Kickstarter for a book called Dust Pirates. It's an 80-page OGN. It's essentially like Pirates of the Caribbean meets Stargate meets like Mad Max Fury Road kind of deal.
That sounds pretty cool.
Where these pirates get stuck through a vortex in like the Bermuda Triangle and go to Atlantis, and Atlantis, when they arrive, it's all dried up, and the water is all consolidated and controlled by some like warlords, kind of like a Morton Joe type dude, and they go about using their pirate tactics to help the natives and the Atlanteans, free themselves from their shackles, and so it's fun. It's like swashbuckling fun. Yeah. That sort of thing.
Swashbuckling fun.
Yeah. A little bit of fantasy,
Well, before we dive too deep into Dust Pirates, which sounds awesome to me because I love pirates and fantasy, let's talk about The Worst Dudes, huh?
Yeah, totally.
So, and the writer's name is Aubrey Sitterson. Is that how it's pronounced? Sitterson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitterson,
Sitterson. And was it the first time you worked with them on any type of art or anything or any book at all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Aubrey, he wrote G.I. Joe. He also wrote No One Left to Fight through Dark Horse. And he's got another book coming out called Savage Hearts next month through Dark Horse as well. Aubrey's a great writer. I love the way his mind works. We hit it off immediately on the project. It's the first time we ever worked together. But we had the same vibes, same sensibilities. We share some similar worldview, roughly the same age. We hit it off immediately. And it was a lot of fun working with him. And hopefully we get to do it again someday. The Worst Dudes is a blast. Like, if you love the first issue, the rest of it just amps up, and it gets more explicit and more ridiculous and
so is
more surreal.
Is the entire comic complete?
Yeah, we just got the colors for the last issue from Laverne the other day, like 2 days ago. Yeah, and I finished drawing it like 2 months ago, maybe.
Great.
Series, so.
Well, I can appreciate coming to the table with with a well-rounded, complete work of art, something that you know is going to print on time every month, and
Yes.
you'll get that story, get locked into it. So that's awesome. I love to hear that about a book. So so is this how many issues is it running for Dark Horse? Five issues.
Yeah.
So so a pretty small, tight story, typical arc size. You know, one good size trade. That's awesome to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. 80-page trade. Excuse me. You know, maybe 100 with back matter and whatnot, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I know in the single issues we have the Rory Blank cartoon strips, Austin cartoonist, and they're only going to be running in the single issue print run. So in the trade, it's just going to be story matter, and then if there's any filler like pinups or the covers might be in the back there as well. But as far as that goes, you're only going to get the backups in the single issues. So if you're into that sort of thing, and if you're a collector, you might be more apt to buy those as well. But yeah, 5 issues, super tight. There's an ending. It's kind of open, but we also ended it pretty concise. Pretty definitively. To give people like a nice solid ending. Because we weren't sure like what the numbers were going to be, and if this would be able to continue, because it's a adult only book. We thought it was a niche audience, but it seems that we've had quite a great response to it. So maybe there's the audience is larger than we thought initially. So we'll see.
That's awesome.
See how the rest of the series goes. If people buy it and vibe on it and love it, then maybe we get to know more. And if not, then hey, we got to do it, and it was dope and fun. And Dark Horse is great to work with.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, they're definitely one of my more liked publishers nowadays, especially, but just in general, I think. So for me, I thought I read through this a few days ago, and then I just read it again, so it was top of my mind. It's a quick read, right? It's to the point. It's
very breezy.
Yeah, very breezy, easy to read. It's very vibrant. The colors are all over the place. I love it. Very neons and it's kind of while not I don't want to say it's not action packed fighting, but it's it's got a lot of movement in it, right? Characters seem to always be on the go, so I liked it. I enjoyed the first issue, and I one of the questions I had, I was curious. So just a little bit of background about the book. It's essentially what I equate to. It's a detective sci-fi almost, right? So you have these three. As of right now, these three characters that are essentially come together for whatever reasons. They come together and they're charged with the mission of finding this.
Yeah, Zephyr Monsoon.
Zephyr Monsoon, the bastard child of a god. Is that correct?
The Storm King, yeah.
The Storm
King, the Flandering Storm King. Yeah.
So I got to say, the names in this book are great. I laughed out loud at some points, just reading some of the names, and I read them multiple times because it was just hilarious.
Just wait, man! It just gets more ridiculous. Yeah. Some of the characters are introduced. It's a shame that some of them only appear for a panel or a scene, because I would love to just explore that character's backstory or what have you, But yeah, as the story goes, we just start throwing more and more on top of it, and we add layers to it. And as the story goes, we also show a little bit of each of the characters' backstory, so you kind of understand their point of view at least. Yeah. Maybe not we each subsequent issue, the next 3 issues, it starts off with each of the 3 dudes, and they get a little flashback to a seminal moment in their past.
Yeah, so
I don't want to spoil too much, but
no, that's no. I appreciate. Yeah, so
and then we get back into the overarching, the detective story.
We were trying to figure out the young god's name.
Bang.
Bang Monsoon. Yeah, it's Caligula Monomacho, which we call him Cal. Bang Monsoon, and then Sam Sugar.
I caught that. I know, Tom. You had one of you asked in our chat, and
I had asked it earlier.
Yeah, I didn't remember either, but I went back and just read it again, and I specifically looked for his name, and I realized the reason I missed it was because the mother says "Oh, Bang, you're here," or something. Yeah, sweetie. Yeah, and so it kind of just like, did she just say bang? And then I just kind of kept going. But this time I realized, like,
Bang Monsoon.
Bang Monsoon.
It is. I mean, it is like you just said. It's a detective story. It's kind of in the vein of like The Long Goodbye or Big Lebowski, even, or
Awesome.
Inherent Vice, like a noir, LA noir crime story. Aubrey lives in LA. He lives in Los Angeles, so he's based out of there. So write what you know, and also he's into those sort of stories, like the Raymond Chandler-esque stories, and that's essentially what it is in space.
Right.
I mean, if you just took these characters in this story and just put them in like Venice Beach in like the 1970s, it would play the same. It would just not be as fantastical.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of got like a psychedelic vibe to it. You could imagine this taking place in the 70s, or
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because we wanted to make it trippy and weird, especially with the drug element with Cal. And it's just a weird story. We wouldn't have fun with it. That we set out to make something crass and rude, but with a little low key intelligence to it, and done intelligently. So people couldn't say that it's they could dislike it for the content, or maybe it's not their cup of tea, but they couldn't say that it's poorly made. And if they do, they're lying. So
No,
and that's that's the thing. You make something like this, and 80% of the people are probably going to dig it, and then 20% are going to just like it's going to be too much for them, and that's fair. It's not for everybody.
So was there a story first, and then you came up with the character designs, or did y'all work on everything together?
So Aubrey hit me up in like summer of 2018, and wanted to work with me. He hit me up and asked if we wanted to work on something together, and I said yes because I was a fan of his work, and then just him in general. We followed each other on social media, and we were chums. So he asked me what I was vibing on and what I wanted to draw, and I was just like obsessed with New Gods at the time, and so I said that to him, and I pitched this one idea I had to him that I had been just kind of kicking around in my head called Florida Man. It's basically like this scumbag Florida, because I'm originally from Florida, and this scumbag Florida guy who gets like possessed by like a space god spirit, and he gets this giant power, and he has to decide what he's going to do with it. Is he going to do what's right, or is he going to continue to be a shithead? And then invaders come and all this other crap. So, and he's like, that's a cool idea, but I don't think he's like, that's not my story. I don't know if I could write that. And also, I'm not from Florida, so I don't can't really speak to that. Like, that's fair. He's like, let me come back to you in a little bit with an idea. And he came back with this idea with the dudes and the story and like a sci-fi road trip with these three guys who are basically like oddly matched to bicker and fight and don't get along through space. And there's the elements of like Kirby New Gods in it, especially through Bang. And the rest of it just is creepy and weird and fun, which is normally like, if you look back on some of my books, especially my Vault books like Karma Police and Deuce of Hearts, they're weird and trippy, and there's like fantastical characters, and so he kind of wanted to bring that out of me. And then we started developing the story right then and there. And so it was like September 2018, and then life happened and some things happened, and we finally got a pitch together in like 2019, like early 2019.
So you guys, I'm sorry, you said you started in 2017 on the book?
2018, summer 2018.
Summer
we started developing it, and then I had a family emergency, the situation that happened, so I had to take a couple months away from everything, and I finally got back to it, like where I was able to get back to start drawing it in like early 2019. And then I banged out the pitch pages and the cover, and then we had a pitch together by, the end of winter 2019, like around March 2019, and we started pitching it around.
I mean, I think with a unfortunate family, emergency, and then COVID, to put 5 issues of a well put together comic, or at least the first issue I've read, right? But to put something together like this, pitch it. I mean, from inception all the way to, you just said you're already finished in that short of a time. That seems pretty quick to me, but I'm not in the industry. Is that fast?
It's kind of like the pandemic it was even another obstacle. It just seemed like this book is like the little book that could, the train that kept coming off the track. Like we got, the book was too raunchy for some publishers. We had one publisher tell us that they already had a book with a cat person in it, and they didn't want to have another Catman book. So I was like, all right. And then, we got ghosted by a couple. And then, Aubrey had just done the book at Dark Horse. So we decided to send it over there. And they deliberated for a while. First, they weren't sure about it. And then they came around and were like, oh, yeah, we really were vibing on this. And they picked it up. So then we got picked up like February 2020. And I started drawing it. And the pandemic hit. And then as soon as I started drawing it, we got put on hold for like 3 months. And so, we were kind of left there thinking like, well, we don't think this book's going to happen, because we had heard from our peers in the industry and other comic pros, not just through Dark Horse, but through other publishers, that they were getting their stuff canceled, especially stuff that they hadn't started making yet.
Right.
They're like, well, they cut their losses. They didn't have any money invested in it. So they might as well just because they put everything on hold. So we're just sitting around thinking like, well, this book isn't going to happen. So we kind of both moved on to other things and, moved on with our careers and what have you, And then 3 months after the pandemic started, they came back and were like, hey, you guys ready to restart? And we were eager to go. We're like, yeah, we're just happy to have the opportunity. We didn't know if we were going to be able to get to do this. So
that's awesome. So did you?
And they gave us like 2 months to each draw each issue. So normally you get like a month to draw an issue. And then for this, they kind of spaced it out. I guess initially it was supposed to come out in winter of last year. So they pushed it all the way back to summer, June of this year. So they gave us more time to do it, which, I was thankful for. I wasn't in a rush. So I just, took my time.
That's awesome to hear, man. That's the little book that could. I like that. So when you said like, did you try? I don't. Did you pitch it to not bigger, like more mainstream, kind of indie, like Image or other places like that you're talking, or did you just kind of like? Yeah,
I think we sent it everywhere.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can't pitch to Marvel or DC or anything like that.
Well, no, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I mean,
but like Image and all the publishers that take creator on stuff, I think we sent it to. We had a deal going with Heavy Metal. First, it was going to be in the Heavy Metal magazine.
That's awesome.
And then they were going to put it in their Heavy Metal. They had like a comedy mag that was going to come out. And then the editor that we were working with there left due to like a harassment issue. So. We left that, that deal fell through. We're like, all right, well, that's not going to happen. And then that was before we pitched even Dark Horse. Yeah. So this book, at different periods of time, had different possible future landing spots.
Yeah. Well,
we're thinking about kickstarting it. Even it was just kind of like one of these deals. Where we're like, we have something here. We like doing it. We want to make this thing, but it's got to be accommodating for everybody.
I think you would definitely would have fit in with Heavy Metal magazine for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we would have been stoked to do that too. Honestly, we'd rather have a Dark Horse series. That's more ideal. Dark Horse is great. Man, just being able to have my name on a book with the Dark Horse logo on it is like a dream come true. So
that's awesome.
Super grateful for that. But yeah, Heavy Metal would have been cool. We were excited for that too.
Yeah, it's definitely better to have your own book than just be a story in a magazine.
Yeah, because that thing is like, we didn't know how many pages we get. And then like, it seems like with Heavy Metal, there's a lot of turnover at that company. So like, you have a deal to do something over there. And then like, next thing you know, everyone's gone and you're dealing with new people and your deal's gone. So, who knows?
Yeah, that's tough. So you guys obviously designed these characters together because you designed the he came with you with the story. Mm-hmm. So out of these three characters, I mean, which one did you kind of, was there one that you really honed in on, one that you really loved to draw or loved personally, or?
Well, the first image I even drew for this was Cal, the big giant pink lion, and that I just kind of like. I don't even know what I was thinking. Like I think I was at the laundromat or somewhere, and I was just doodling in my sketchbook, passing the time away. And I just thought, like, what would be funny? And I thought Snagglepuss. It was just like a big, fat, hedonistic, like slovenly Snagglepuss who just loves to eat and screw and snort, and drink.
A big fat pink pussy, as you would call it.
Yeah. Big fat pink pussy. Yeah. And then I drew it. And I sent it to Aubrey. I'm like, yeah, dude, this guy, I'm loving this guy. And Aubrey's like, yep. All right.
So did you know the personality attributed to this character before you drew him? Okay,
yeah. Aubrey sent me because Aubrey's a real prolific writer. If you like, he turns around things really quick. He's real creative. He's a pro, so like everything when you get it is almost finished. It's like even his first drafts are tighter than a lot of like finished scripts I've seen from other writers. So he came to me with the pitch. He basically he came to me with the premise, and then if I was okay with the premise, then he'd go off and write like a treatment essentially. Not necessarily with a script, but like a kind of a issue layout and the character breakdowns and character descriptions of their personality traits and what have you, and then send me off and I get to go play around, and then he give me feedback, and then we figure out like we come to a final decision on each character. So some of it, like Cal, just was like something off the dome that was like spontaneous that I made, and he fit, and then like Sam was like, we wanted the Danny Glover, I'm too old for this shit. Yeah. That was like one of the first songs I did of him. It was like this space guy. Yeah. One of the first doodles I have of him. I think I posted it on my Instagram or on Twitter. It's of character designs, and like it was him saying, I'm too old for this shit. And that was like, I went off in that direction. And his like, with the duster and the cowboy hat was like the main shit. And then everything underneath, like his armor and his gear, I just kind of, came up with that on my own. And then Bang is like it's supposed to harken to like Asian lore, like a storm god, a storm king, so we wanted to kind of homage that, but we didn't want to like appropriate it either. And
Right.
Aubrey's wife is Asian, so she was able to give us feedback as to like, hey, this is cool, maybe don't do this, throw this in there because this like harkens to this, and this is really cool. So she helped us out with that design a little bit, and then we kind of figured out what Bang looks like from
Nice.
there. Yeah. So I hear people say that he looks like Damian Wayne, and I get that. Yeah, I get that. I've heard that quite a bit, and I get it. I don't read those books, so I don't know. Like I know Damian's like a spoiled brat, so I guess that works too. But like I don't know if like he's not really like Damian. In my mind, when I was drawing him, I wasn't thinking Damian Wayne. It was more like he's slightly of Asian descent, and then like just a punk, So
Yeah. Well,
he happens to look like Damian, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, Tom hates Batman. Alan pretty much only reads Marvel or indie stuff, and although I love Batman and everything to do with it, I fucking hate Damian Wayne anyway. So, so you're in good company. I didn't even think about that until you said it, and I have the picture on, and I just looked at it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I could see that.
I listened to some podcasts where this guy hates Damian Wayne, so he didn't like the book because this kid looks like Damian Wayne, he acts like Damian Wayne, I guess. And I was like, oh, I don't,
So
as the story goes, I don't know. Like as the story goes, like you see more about this kid and why he is the way he is, and like his personality kind of shows through a little bit more. He's still a petulant, demigod shithead, but
I assume that there would be some type of empathy throughout the story for them, like all three of the characters, right? Whether it's Cal, who's drug obsessed, womanizer, like all those kind of things, and the deadbeat cop, the deadbeat cop who's kind of fucking shaking people down and
violating civil liberties and shit.
Right, yeah. So or the rich kid who's who has everything. I have to say, like, I definitely, as I read through this, I definitely felt that there was, you guys were definitely saying something in this comic book, especially with this, the social commentary that we live in nowadays. And it's something I could connect with. And, we hopped on this podcast, Tony, and the first thing, I told you I was from Vermont, and you're like, oh, Bernie country. I love Bernie. And I'm like, I like this guy. So
Bernie's my guy. I love Bernie.
So I mean, like, is that I think like what I guess my question is, like, is that kind of, and you said you and Aubrey have like very similar views and thought processes and like
worldviews,
worldviews. Absolutely.
I don't get political, but we both subscribe to the same politics.
Yeah, right.
Like Aubrey's politics. Anyone who knows Aubrey or is familiar with him knows his politics. It's pretty well covered. So, and we have similar viewpoints. We differ on some things, but for the most part, we're pretty lockstep together on a lot of things. Yeah, and that book, like you said, like you can look at it read on the surface value and just laugh at the gags and the jokes, and it's silly and have fun with it. And then, like as the story goes, hopefully people notice that there's some depth behind it. But like you said, people could feel empathetic about these characters. It I guess it's up to each individual's level of empathy. Like how much empathy can you feel for a shitty person, or, knowing like why they're shitty. And that's up to each individual. What'd you say?
I was gonna say I feel pretty bad for these guys all the time, and I know they're shitty. So
yeah, we all have shitty friends, right?
That's hilarious.
Thanks.
Sometimes I'm the shitty friend.
Yeah, who knows?
I probably am the shitty friend.
And I think that do you think that maybe and maybe this just might be like your drawing style or your as a whole storytelling style between the two of you, but do you think like maybe the reason this is so over the top, the language, everything is so over the top to kind of like reckon with the fact that some of the themes in this are pretty heavy, and like, you know, when you start talking about a corrupt cop who's actually black, you know what I mean? And like, there's some heavy things that could be said about that. And I don't know where this story's going, but would you, go ahead. Yeah.
No, sorry. Finish your
I'm just saying, like, do you think that maybe like the almost absurdity of the comic book, like the big over the top language and all that, is to kind of help cope with this really kind of, deep, themes that you have running through it?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a way to, like, you know, people laugh through their pain, right? So
absolutely.
And you know, you're doing a book about three miserable, shitty people, the worst dudes. I mean, you don't want them to be all like uncharismatic or not charming, because that would be a slog to read, right?
Right. Of course.
It's the race thing. Like, we don't really touch on race in the book, you know, because we kind of feel like it's in space and it kind of transcends race. You know what I mean?
Matter?
Like,
yep.
Yeah, what does it matter? It's more like a casting decision, you know, like wanted to make him black. It just, wasn't even like a thing of like, because there's no mention of it at all, like in the book, you know. And like as far as the language and stuff goes, like I kind of feel that, in this, like it's a gritty, dark, shitty underworld, right? And so people talk that way. Like I don't know about you guys, but I'm from South Florida, Southern California. I worked in bars and nightclubs for most of my life. Yeah. So I've met a lot of these dudes. Like I know these dudes. Like these are not like alien concepts. These people, like the way they speak, the way their mannerisms, their behaviors. Like I've known these guys, like all of them. I know the whiny dude. I know the spoiled kid. I know the corrupt cop or authority figure, and I definitely know the hedonistic, like, do anything person. So, I had a discussion with a friend about it, and they weren't vibing on the language, and they like kind of suggested, oh, you could tone it down here or tone it down here. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. This is not supposed to be toned down. These aren't supposed to be like likable. We want to represent them in this manner because this is who they are. And if, towards the end of it, if you read the whole series, you can come around to it and kind of find some of them charming and care for some of them, or at least, find them to be appealing in some way, then, we've done our job as kind of like make an interesting story to get you invested,
Yeah. They were built out of experiences, right? And like,
yeah. I mean, it's,
I get that. Yeah.
That's the thing too. Like sometimes I feel like, you're showing bad people doing bad things, but when you sugarcoat it and kind of gloss over it, you kind of make them less disgusting or gross than they really are. And I don't know if that does it. I don't know if that's a disservice to me. It feels like, if you're trying to like get a message across, like you shouldn't make them almost likable. Like they should talk in a crass way if they're crass, Right. Like if a character is misogynistic or racist, they should be in the book. Like they shouldn't, you know what I mean? It's just because they're a character, it's a story.
That's how people are in real life. I mean, it's
that's what makes them unlikable,
Yeah.
So
that's most people in life. Or I don't know.
But these guys don't, they don't say they're not racist, and like I wouldn't call them misogynistic because like a lot it's aliens and stuff, so the gender is fluid. Right. It's not really like a gender thing. But they're definitely shitty, and they do shitty things, and they fight and bicker and argue about it, and I like to think it's entertaining. But I could leave it up to the reader.
Yeah, it's definitely entertaining. I really digged it. What I feel like I've been talking a lot. You guys have any specific questions you wanted to bring up or anything? I mean, I've got more here, but I figured I'd give you guys a chance to talk.
Oh, thanks. Go ahead, Alan.
So I recently have been reading Invincible. And Cal, to me, kind of reminds me of like a fat, crazy battle beast. And that was like one of the things I really liked about whenever I was reading. I was like, damn, I mean, because I just recently started reading Invincible, and I was like, this is just like the party fucking battle beast character going on. And I really dug that a lot. I mean, I tattoo for a living, so the way these people talk in the story, it's how I talk all the time. That's how I talk to these two.
It's true.
That's how I talk to every single person I've ever met in my life, because I like crazy shit. Like I don't want to read, the normal, the boring stories like you hear all the time, like someone saves the world and all this shit. Like, I like the grimy fucking people doing drugs and a fucking pussycat getting his fucking dick sucked.
Yeah.
I like that kind of shit. So I mean,
you're gonna love that. You're gonna love the rest of the series then, because there's a lot more of that.
Well, like what attracted to me, because I had saw on the, I think it's like Previews World. I go and check every week to see like what new books are coming out, and I had saw the cover and I was like, this is definitely something I want to read. I mean, on the front of the cover, I think it says like it's like for scumbags and shit like that. I was like, that's who I am. I'm a fucking scumbag. So I'm
one of the
dirtbags made it for other dirtbags.
In one of the descriptions I read, it said the book's so dirty it'll turn your other comics yellow. And I love that. I thought it was hilarious.
Aubrey is quite the showman. He's really great at marketing and coming up with turning a phrase, so to speak. And also Dark Horse has been amazing with their marketing team, with Kara and the rest of the folks over there, as far as marketing this book and kind of seeing the vision for it and accepting it for what it is. Like, we got one note throughout the whole series from our editor about, oh, this is a little too far, and that was it. And the rest of it, everything else in the book is like whatever we wanted to put in, they let us do it, and there was no censorship. They didn't put any hamstrings on us. They didn't put any parameters on us. They didn't say you can't do that, can't do this. We just did whatever we wanted, and we're grateful for it. And it's crazy that they let us do some of this stuff. We were just my first Dark Horse book, I didn't think I'd be able to draw some of the stuff I drew, but I did, and you'll see what they are. But
yeah, that's awesome. I definitely feel it's the right fit for the publisher. Certainly, like think
it could be Dark Horse, maybe Image, but it's the rest of it. We said it to some publishers, and we just knew that they weren't going to want it, but we did anyway because we figured, what the hell, like, you never know what's going to happen. And we got those emails.
Got to shoot your shot.
Yeah, you got to shoot your shot, and we did get those emails like, oh, this is really cool, but it's not for us. And fair. Like, this is not.
Yeah.
Hey, a response with a reason is better than no response at all, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's better. I'd rather someone hate it or love it, but ambivalence is not, is the worst. That's a quiet death.
Yeah. So obviously earlier you were talking about the New Gods, and obviously that brings like Jack Kirby and to light, and I guess one of my questions I have for you, you're a comic book artist, right? So and you grew up you grew up in probably throughout the late 80s 90s of comic book. So I'm just
born in 76. So.
Born in 76. So right. So I'm just curious, like typical question is the art you fell in love with. What artist is your favorite, or made you fall in love with comics, or made you say, fuck, I want to do that, Like who was that for you?
Well, I mean, I started, the first thing I ever read was comics. Like, my dad used to read me Batman comics to sleep. And it would be the same 3 or 4 comics. And then, like, after a while, I would just, he would try to change the stories because he would get tired of reading them. And I'd be like, that's not what happens, Dad. And he's like, oh, fuck, we got to go to I guess I can cuss here. It doesn't fucking matter. He's like, we're just going to have to go to the comic shop again. And back then, in those days, they actually had newsprint stores to where you sell newspapers and comics and magazines, and that smell. Like, just going there every Sunday, we would go to the newsprint store on the way to my grandparents' house every Sunday morning. My dad would get a newspaper, and I'd get like 1 or 2 comics. And I just remember walking in, that smell of the newsprint every Sunday just like hit something in my brain that just was like, oh, you love this. And then just sequential storytelling, like, that was it. Like, the first thing I started doing was drawing. I was drawing dinosaur comics. My mom would staple them together. I still have some of them saved. Yeah, and that was my vibe. Yeah, that's what I was all about. Comics all throughout my childhood. I wanted to draw comics. I loved Batman comics. I loved Spider-Man, X-Men. And then, when the 90s came, I was all about Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, the whole image explosion. I was all about that. Even in high school, I was drawing comics with my friends. Thinking, we're going to start our own comic company. We're going to draw comics one day, and, other people would go out and hang out. And me and my buddy would go back to his house and just draw comics up until like my junior, senior year. And then, I found girls and drugs and things kind of like went off the rails for a bit.
Yeah, typical story, right? I read comics till I graduated high school, and then life happened.
That's what happened. I graduated high school, and I kind of grew up in South Florida, just north of Miami. So there's a lot of temptation, and a lot of trouble to get into, and I got into all the trouble. So like the stuff that happens in like the end of The Worst Dudes, the scene with Cal, that's a scene directly taken from my life. Like that happened to me, I won't spoil what happens in the book, but anyone who reads it, like at the end, I went through that. I survived it, but that happened to me. But it was a lot of that for a couple of years, stuff like that happening because of my substance abuse. And then once I cleaned up, I just I started working in bars and restaurants and stuff when I was early 20s, mid early 20s. And I was like 27, 28 years old, and I was working at this bar in Fort Lauderdale, and across the street was an art school, the Fort Lauderdale Art Institute. And I was working with all these kids who went to school there. And I was thinking, like, I was with this girl I was dating at the time, and she was like, what do you want to do with your life? Like, you don't want to be, nothing wrong with being a bartender, or especially, a middle-aged bartender. But she's like, do you want to be the 45-year-old guy at the golf course standing behind the bar, waiting on people? Do you want to do that? I'm like, no, of course not. Like, I want to have freedom to do what I want.
I have dreams, God damn it.
Yeah, I don't know what they were though, right? I was like, I don't know what I want to do. So she's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, the only thing I ever was good at was drawing. Like I was drawing, and I have a bunch of drinks memorized, and I can figure out 20% of anything. Like that's about it, And I was looking at these kids' sketchbooks who were going to this art institute, and I'm looking at their work, and I'm thinking in my mind, like, man, no, I haven't drawn since high school, like almost a decade, and I could draw better than these kids right now. Just because I knew I could still do it, because I would still dabble in it every once in a while. So I'm like, maybe I'll just do that. So I went back I enlisted in art school, and which I wouldn't recommend to anybody. Like, you can do your shit without going to art school, but at the time I just felt like, this is going to be the motivation to get me going. Like, because if I'm left on my own, I'm making great money in this bar. If I'm not forced to draw every day because I'm trying to get this education, then I'm probably going to flake off and not do it, and I just end up being that guy. So
you went to
start the journey.
You went to school in South Florida?
Yeah, Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. It's defunct now. It's out of business.
Yeah. I lived in I lived in North Miami for 2 years. Mm-hmm. I turned 18.
I lived in North Miami Beach.
Yeah. So I went down there I went to Johnson & Wales University, and I did my first. Yeah, so culinary and all that shit, right? So food service. Mm-hmm. Talk about going to a school that's overpriced and not much worth it when you get out. Yeah. But no, I'm lucky. I have a great job, whatever. Either way. Yeah. But I lived down there for 2 years, man. And boy, I literally left because I think I would have been dead if I stayed there.
Well, so. Yeah, that's where I was born and raised, man, up until I was almost 30 years old. And then I was almost 30, and I was coming to the end of I didn't get my degree from that school, but I went there for 4 years. It's a long story short. I took all the art classes I could take, and then when it came to time to take the prereqs, like all the maths and the sciences and all that bullshit, I'm like, fuck that. Like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna get a tutor to study math and algebra at 30 years old to go get a degree from an art school. Like, fuck out of here. Yeah, fuck that. And then I had a comic that got picked up. I did the indie comic book that got picked up by a publisher, and the publisher actually was tabling at San Diego that year. Oh, nice. So I was, and actually the colorist was my buddy Mike Spicer, who now works on like Beta Ray Bill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends. We're brothers. We came up together. We're both bartenders in South Florida, and we started doing comics together. And that's when we started together. And then our careers kind of went off in their own direction. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. But yeah, we started out doing this together, and every week we like text each other when something happens. We're like, can you believe this shit? Like, He got nominated for Eisner today for a book he's working on. I'm like, I can't believe this happened. Like a decade ago, we were just two like scumbag bartenders or 15 years ago.
You guys were the worst dudes.
Yeah, we were the worst dudes. He would come into my bar every night and play darts, and he would close the bar down, and we'd all hang out afterwards and just drink and bullshit. And then I was going to school to the art school, and I was doing my own comic, and I needed someone to color it. And he had like done art when he was younger, but he had quit because he got disillusioned because of like he tried going to art school, and the professors were just he wasn't digging it, and he didn't like it. He didn't like the whole structure of it, so he quit. He got disillusioned. And I'm like, man, well, because I saw some of his paintings, I'm like, you have a really good eye for color. You ever tried coloring comics? He's like, no. I'm like, well, give it a shot. And he got like one of those how to color comics, the Image Way or whatever for like Topic Farm or something. Yeah, like a program from like, I don't know, mid 2000s or something. Yeah. And he started fucking around, and then that's how he got the bug. And we did this indie book that got taken to San Diego, and we both went to the con there. And I just moved to San Diego because I was over South Florida, and I got out of a relationship. I was like, I just wanted a fresh start, so I went to San Diego and moved there. And I lived there for like 4 or 5 years, and I did San Diego Comic-Con every year. And I met, networking and meeting people, and I was bartending in the gas lamp in downtown San Diego to get by, and kind of just, that kind of like was part of the journey, was like going there and doing the con every year and meeting people and kind of like seeing what I needed to do to get to where I wanted to be, like seeing how much work these people put into making these books and the sacrifice it takes. And I was willing to do it because I loved it. So.
And so through that whole thing, you're like constantly promoting whatever you have going on, and then possibly trying to maybe pitch new stuff, or is that
I was living in San Diego?
Yeah, when you were going to like down there.
I was working with actually I'd become friends with the writer Steve Orlando, who we tabled together at San Diego in 2007 or 8. We were in like the small press section, and we met each other, and he was doing like small press stuff, and we were doing our small press stuff, and him and I became buddies, and we started working on things together, developing things together. And so when I was in San Diego, him and I were working on things that a couple things that got published to a smaller company, and then some things that just never happened for different reasons. But the whole time I'm making pitches, I'm meeting writers. I did a pitch with this writer, James Asmus, who's written some great Marvel stuff and DC stuff and Valiant stuff. It's just networking and like pitching things, not really like promoting, because back then I guess there was Facebook. I was on Facebook doing it that way. It was more just like posting art, and then like here's what I'm working on now, and then I met Tim Daniel, who changed my life. Tim is a writer. He works with Vault, and he's also writes his own stuff. He's written stuff for like Boom and Image and other things, and he lives here in Missoula. We had met working on a project together, and became really close friends. And that kind of like was a catalyst. Tim was definitely a catalyst in my career. I think meeting him helped me meet other people, and then just getting his wisdom, because he knows so much about comics.
I love the whole story throughout, like everything that you're saying, like how you guys have just like lifted each other up through all this, right? Like, like you've met all these random people, some who are like winning Eisner Awards, some who are, maybe stopped doing it, and then, people who are in all these different phases of life. And I love how like you're talking about like just so much positivity, and like you guys are just like working with each other and putting each other onto stories, and like even the way like Aubrey just like worked out, like you said, he just reached out to you and was like, hey, I want to work with you. Like, you're awesome. Your fucking artwork's awesome. Like, let's do something. Like, I don't even have an idea, right? Like, and he was just reaching out to you, like, let's work together. Like, I just love the whole story of that. Like, I feel like personally, and like, I know it's bullshit with like, the big two and like even some of the other stuff, but like, you just hear like so much nonsense about the industry now. Like, it's just all like fucking like a novella or something like that, and like it's just good to hear, like, and we, the three of us, like, we read mostly indie books. Like, that's what we love. Like, I love DC Comics. We all love DC Comics as well, but Tom's one of the biggest Swamp Thing fans I've ever met in my life.
Mike's coloring that book. It's drawn by Mike Perkins, and Mike Spicer's coloring it, the new one.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's great. It's a great book so far. I was really scared because it's not Alec Holland anymore. It's a different Swamp Thing. And I was like, fuck this. Like, the purist in me was so upset. Like, I have Swamp Thing tattooed across my entire back. And so, that now, and I was like, are you fucking serious? Who is this guy?
You have Swamp Thing tattooed on you twice.
Is it
three times?
Wow. I've never been anyone with a Swamp Thing tattoo before. That's dope.
Let alone three.
Is Ram V's the writer on that, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, he's great. He's great. Yeah, I mean, I know the drama stuff too. I read it because I'm in the industry and I have friends and I'm in the DMs and I see all the shit. But also there's people who are friends who just have known each other and are it's like any other industry. I've had some. I can tell you some horrible experiences. I don't want to get into it, but I've met some people that I would just I don't want to see again or talk to again, or just people who I just think are horrible human beings.
Yeah. Maybe you can come back and we'll have a little diss session.
Yeah, a diss session. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. The thing is, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to put that stuff out there. There's plenty of it out there already. Like, you can see for yourself. Like, of all, generally the people who think everyone who complains about it is being shitty, those are probably the people that are shitty.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, but I mean, it's just great. It's it's awesome to hear. Like, that's just such a, like the community within, behind the scenes is just it's just a fun story.
It's cool to see. Like, it's like anything else. You come up with somebody and then you kind of go on your journey together, and then you go on your own path. But if you're still working in the same industry, you get to experience each other's ups and downs. And with a lot of my friends and myself, there's those times where you call each other and be like, man, I don't know, shit, I need some advice, or I don't know what to do, or or you call them to celebrate your successes, and it's just kind of cool to have that, to have people that you've known for over a decade and you can just chum it up with, and you see, you've been through it all, so you understand each other, and when you say, you have the conversations, there's the unspoken stuff that they just get that you don't have to, elaborate on. So
I definitely get that. I mean, I'm I've been a professional chef in hotels and resorts my majority of my adult career, and I think that I still do that. I'll still randomly reach out to people I haven't talked to or haven't worked with in years and just be like, oh, you remember that plate that we did that one time? I just put it on my menu or whatever. So I can.
What was that recipe again? I forget.
Yeah. I could
capers, or what was that?
There's people I could just randomly message on Facebook that I haven't talked to in years and be and just say a few things you remember when we were here and did this? What was it? And they would answer me immediately. So I love that kind of. I love that mentality. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you have that community, because no one wants to hear about the water pump that we turned on at the water district the other day, and in my life, everyone wants water, but no one wants to hear about it.
We just bought our water here in Missoula recently, and it was a huge deal. So I was all about it. I love hearing about that stuff, because the Carlisle group was I don't know if they had our water or they're trying to buy our water, and we won in court. We won our water rights, and so it was a big deal. It was wow, we defeated a giant. Little town of Missoula, Montana, defeated a giant corporation.
That's awesome.
Water rights. It's huge.
There's
you need water, it's the most important
thing.
Water,
Tom,
whatever.
Yeah, water.
Kind of a necessity.
I think the three of us on this, outside of you, Tom, we do something that we create something for people for what they want, right? Where you create something for people that they need. They need that.
You're essential.
They need you. You're essential.
I sell what they need.
Yeah, well, hey. 6 or a half dozen, bud. 6 or a half dozen.
Yeah. You just tell don't
pay me for it.
Don't get too addicted to the water. It's bad for you.
You just put a little sprinkle in there.
Yeah. You turn the faucet down. All right, you get a little bit.
You're done.
Tom actually created water. It's no big deal.
I didn't want to talk about it. I'm sorry.
He doesn't like to brag about his creation of water, but whatever.
Can I ask you, Tony, about your art on this book? Is it digital or is it more like pen and paper?
I'm all traditional.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious because
Everything with a brush. I use a Kolinsky 1, sometimes a 3, and then sometimes I dabble with a nib and microns or Copics, but it's all pen and ink, drawn on paper.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not. I tried dabbling in digital, and it's just not my thing. I like the tactile experience, and I love. I get the urge to digital. It's faster. It's more efficient. I guess some people say it's cheaper. I don't know. That's debatable, but the programs you have to keep upgrading, and it costs you money. Like for me,
Right.
Right.
You can never sell an original page to make money back either. That's kind of a factor.
Well, you could sell an NFT if you wanted to, Tom.
The world is changing.
Yeah, and I think that bubble burst. I thought that
it did. No, it did.
Yeah.
It definitely did. Oh, it definitely. The whole crypto bubble burst. Yeah, that's
good.
I'm on Robinhood right now. No, I'm joking. I know. I don't
want anyone to lose money. If anyone's investing in crypto, God bless you. I hope you're successful. But also,
no, yeah.
No.
Let
me check my stocks real quick.
Yeah. I gotta go look at my Tesla stocks right now. Give me a second here.
Or did Elon tweet? Oh no.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, right. Jesus Christ. So, I guess, it sounds like you've got this book coming out. You've got this next Dust Pirates coming out.
Yeah.
So
launches.
Kickstarter launches next week. Yeah, I tried looking for it, so I noticed that it wasn't up yet. So that's coming.
Yeah, you can subscribe to it though. If people
right.
are interested, they can go to my IG and my Twitter or my IG profile. The site is linked, so you can subscribe, and then you'll get notifications.
Tony Gregori, right? So
yeah.
So toe as in the toes on your feet, and knee as in the thing you don't want to break, and then your last name Gregori, which I thought was hilarious. Hey, listen, I work in the ski and snowboard industry. I see broken knees all the time. It's ridiculous.
My knee is screwed right now. I don't know what I did to it. It's old.
Yeah, it's just old.
It's all part of getting old.
Yeah,
for me. Yeah. For you, we're all old, and that's what it is. So Tony Gregori on IG, is that your Twitter handle as well?
Yeah, it's just, but it's spelled normally, Tony.
Okay.
Tony Gregori, and my screen name is just Tony G.
Awesome.
Easy to remember.
Great, that's awesome. And how about I'm I think we all do.
Well, I have actually 2 more Kickstarters coming too this year.
All right, go for it.
Yeah. So I've got Starweed #2 with writer Alex Wilson. That launches on August 2nd. Starweed #1 was funded and went out late last year or early this year. And that's a story about a kind of like a gravedigger. In the future, people smoke the ashes of dead celebrities. So
awesome.
she basically would go around stealing the DNA of dead celebrities or their corpses. And that was her job. And she was caught in it. She's basically caught. She's a contractor caught between 2 rival drug lords, right? Who are trying to either kill her or hire her to work for them. And that's the journey. And at the end of issue 1, she gets arrested and sent to space jail. So issue 2 starts off in space jail, and then there's dinosaurs and all kinds of crazy shit. And that's already finished. That book is finished, colored, lettered, ready to go to print. Or just waiting, going to kickstart it and print that. And then Ancient Noise #5, which is the possibly final issue of this series that I've been doing with David Crispino, the writer. And that's finished as well. It's just ready to go to print. And we're going to do that in September 15th, around there. And that'll be, you either get the single issues or you can get the trade of the whole series in one.
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to ask was are both of those Kickstarters, do you have the option to buy the previous issues as well so you can catch up all at one time? Okay.
Yeah, for Starweed, you can get issue 1 either digitally or print. And then with Ancient Noise, you can get the print copies. You can get the print. Like David and I have done, this will be our 8th Kickstarter. So we've done, and I think most of it's on Comixology. So if people want to read it digitally, they can go and look up David and I's Comixology accounts or whatever, the profiles, and then it's all there. So from Ancient Noise to Malediction and Maxwell Fitzsimmons to Taft Sturgeon to Adversary, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we've done in different genres. Ancient Noise is this long-running story about a sentient talking ape who travels through time, gorilla who travels through time. And issue 5, you can get the whole issue. You can either get the trade, you can get all single issue floppies, you can get all digital, whatever your preference. It's all there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so the quick go to the Quick Starter and support them directly. You know, that's the best way to do it. But so outside of that, you know, I know we all love going to cons and like talking to people that we love and seeing our friends, and you know, it's more about that kind of that environment for a lot of us, and obviously looking through comics and stuff like that. But so are you doing any con appearances? Is there anything you plan on, or anything you maybe normally go to that you might consider moving forward?
Yeah, I normally, because you know I live in Missoula and I'm pretty close to Seattle and Portland. It's like a 7-hour bus trip or 1-hour flight, you know. So I'll usually attend Emerald City and Rose City every year, but this year I won't be because it seems like everything's kind of slowly coming back, and I don't know if, like, for me it's just about making my money back, and I don't know like if the crowd's going to be enough to so I can make my money back through commissions or sales or what have you. Because you're competing with other artists who are bigger and more famous, who have a higher demand. So they're guaranteed to make X amount of dollars. Me, if there's enough people there, I can make some money. But if it's a smaller crowd, I might not. And also, Dark Horse isn't doing any in-person cons this year. So my plan was to go to Emerald City and not table, but go and sign to the Dark Horse booth and hang out there over the weekend. But I spoke to Dark Horse, and they're not going to be there. So I figured, well, if they're not going to be there, then maybe I'll wait till next year, and do it next year. Maybe even do San Diego, depending. I generally stay on the West Coast just because it's a cheaper, easier journey, But I have family in Baltimore and New York, so I might, go back there. I did New York a couple of years ago with David, and that was a lot of fun. I'd like to do it again someday. It's all, about anything else. Like traveling cross country is, it's all about timing and affordability and what have you. So,
yeah, I've always wanted to make it out to Emerald.
It's the best. I love Emerald City. It's my favorite con.
I heard it was really good. My favorite personally is like I love Baltimore Comic Con. It's always been my favorite, but I think there's a lot of nostalgia.
Never been to Baltimore Comic Con. I mean, I've been to Baltimore, but I've never been to Baltimore Comic Con.
Yeah.
Emerald City's great because it's right in downtown Seattle, so you can hop around and do whatever you want, and then the hotel lobby bar is there if that's what you're into, and you go to all the publisher parties if you want, and just hang out, or you can just go up to your hotel room and draw, But also Seattle, like I like going like you guys. I like going to hang out with my friends, and then it's like a work vacation trip for me. Like, I want to go there and make some money and contacts and all that kind of stuff, but also I want to hang with people I don't get to see very often, and like go out to eat and go experience like other restaurants and stuff that I'm not going to get here in Missoula. So like Seattle's great because you just where do you want to eat today? Do you want to eat sushi? Do you want to eat
that's
Mexican
awesome.
food? You can just
I mean, y'all just got water, so there's not a lot of places to eat. So.
Yeah, we always got water. That's it. Just drink.
We're gonna drink water today. I fucking sure hope so.
Water and red meat. That's all I got in Montana.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I was gonna ask, do you collect comics, or you just do you?
I mean, I have like stacks back here. Those are all single issue floppies that goes all the way to the floor, and then I got like my trades over there and graphic novels and stuff. I collect like. I'll go for a specific artist, so like, or a run. Like I went and grabbed a bunch of Doom Patrols recently, like from the beginning, like, and then like some of the Grant Morrison stuff, Doom Patrols. So I'll do that, I don't collect in the sense of like where I keep them in pristine condition and grade them and stuff like that. I read them. So all my comics are like worn and read. But I do like, the other day I went to the shop for a signing, and I picked up, a bunch of single issues that I'm reading, like from friends that are making them or books that I'm interested in. But then I also picked up like the trade of the first run of like Wildcats, because I love Jim Lee's Wildcats stuff.
Yeah.
And the compilation of the first like 5 or 6 issues was there. So I'm like, all right, yeah, it's only $10. I'm like, I'm getting this. Like, there's no way I'm gonna walk past this and not buy it. So yeah, I definitely. But I'm not a collector in the traditional sense of like where the people who do it. Which I think is great,
I think so. You're a collector in the traditional sense.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, no, I certainly agree with that. No,
not in the professional sense, or
right. Yeah. No, I got it. Yeah. That's funny. What so like right now? So you're reading a lot of like stuff that's coming out right now. Like
I'll show you what I picked up.
Yeah, let's see that. Yeah, well, I'm interested to see what you're reading.
Picked up Beta Ray Bill #1.
All right.
Which is great, by Dan Warren Johnson and my brother Mike Spicer.
Yeah.
Issue #1, great issue. I picked up Future State #1. My buddy Dennis Culver is writing it with Josh Williamson. But I also love the Akira homage. The book is basically an homage to manga. I mean, people are like, "Oh, it's black and white. Did they forget to color it?" And I'm like, "No, it's an homage because the guy who made Akira, they ran a short by him in the back that he drew, a Batman
That's
short
awesome.
that he wrote and drew.
That's awesome.
And that was cool. I picked up Stray Dogs #1. It's done by my buddy Tony Fleece.
Awesome.
Tony's a great guy.
Book. Yeah, he's amazing. He's a good friend.
I have too many sketch covers when he used to I would book him at our shop down in Southern California, and he would come, and I brought 3 different sketch covers, and I was like, "Do you have time?" And he was like, "Let's see who else comes." He's like, "You work here, so yeah, I can do yours anytime." And I was like, "I know, but here."
That's Tony. He's very accommodating. He doesn't want to say no. So
he really is. I bought a Stray Dogs blank variant. And he was like, "You bought one?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'll draw on it for free. Just come over anytime and I'll draw on it for free." It's like, "Just bring it to me." I was like, "Okay." Bought it for $3 and I'm going to do it.
Good. Yeah. Put him to work. That book has been so successful too. It's just so good to see. I think they're the first issue is on their 5th printing, and then even the final issue, I think, is going to a 3rd printing, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
They got optioned. I mean, that thing's going to be, it's huge.
Yeah, I know, I didn't think his My Little Pony success would transfer over to almost anything else, especially anything that was horror related or violence related, and so it's really cool to see still his style is still 100% working out for him. It's fantastic.
Yeah, he's I think Trish Forster draws the dogs, so the way they do their work, the way that book is made is Tone Rodriguez does the layouts. Tony Fleece writes it, and then Tone Rodriguez does the layouts, and then Tony goes in and does touches on the layouts, and then Trish does the dogs because she's really great at that Ralph Bakshi animation style, and that's the lore of the book, and then Tony puts it all together. He's kind of an art director as well as the writer, and also an artist on the book as well in certain aspects of it, and he does all those variant covers. He puts them all together with him, Trish, and Tone. It's kind of a really it's amazing process because we'll hang out digitally on a Zoom or a Google chat every couple of days a week with a group of us, and he'll be working on it, and we'll see his screen and what he's working on, and as he was making the book before it even came out, some of us were like, "Oh, this book's going to be a huge hit!" Just the style of it, it looks like a Ralph Bakshi animation, but it's a murder mystery, Silence of the Lambs type shit, and this is going to be huge, and it was. It's huge, so. I'm happy for him. He's a great guy. And I also picked up Way of X #1 and 2, written by my buddy, or drawn by my buddy Bob Quinn. I don't know what's going on because I don't read X-Men books. And
me neither.
There was too many. There was too many of the X shit recently. I can't remember.
I read.
There's charts and shit in this book.
I know.
There's charts and shit.
I started reading the Hickman run, and I got six issues in, and I was like, nah, there's 15 books coming out. I can't do this.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm reading it because I love Bob's work. Bob's an amazing artist, and he's doing a great job on this book.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
I'm into it, even though I don't know some of the because I don't know who the characters are because I haven't read an X-Men book in over 15 years probably. So a lot of these characters are just I don't know who these are. But the art carries it, and I'm enjoying just the ride of it, trying to see what's going on
sure.
and trying to figure it out,
that almost makes it
that's what I'm
more.
reading about.
It probably makes it like a little bit better too. That you're not like entrenched in like the past whatever 5 years of what's been going on with the X-Men, and then you're just like you don't have to worry about all that bullshit. You just read it and enjoy it.
I don't I get why people love that stuff. I love those characters. I love like Marvel and DC. I love. I even watch the movies. I know people. It's fashionable to shit on those movies and say they're bad or whatever, or the Marvel movies, and I know I like watching them. I like seeing what they're going to come up with. I'm curious to see what the Loki show is going to be like.
I watched the first episode today. It's
is it good?
Yeah, it's good. I like Loki as a character. I feel like he kind of got shit on as a villain, so and they kind of touch on that in the TV show, like the first episode. So it's good. Like you kind of like start like I kind of feel bad for him, I guess. But it's
Hiddleston's great too.
Yeah. It's like it's one of those things. You read comics, you want to watch things that are kind of comic related. Like it's you get action movies and there's tons of love story movies and comedies.
I watch all of it too. I love it. I watch all types of movies. Like I think just last week I watched My Week with Marilyn. It's about Marilyn Monroe with Michelle Williams, and it was a great movie. And I'll watch rom-coms as I work, because I find that they're like I like having them on in the background, and it's heavy dialogue, so I'm not inclined to look at the screen too much, because I'm drawing, so I don't want to put on something that's too distracting or something I haven't seen before because I want to give it my attention, So like rom-coms is just like talking and shit in the background, and that's cool. But then, I'll watch action movies or I'll watch, I love sports, but yeah, as far as like comic book stuff, like I don't really read the books as much because like it just seems like with the continuity, there's constant like revamping and retooling and you get into the story or a team and it changes and then everything you just read 6 months later becomes meaningless because they just reboot everything. I can't get invested.
Nothing matters.
Nothing matters.
Next week we'll have a new Swamp Thing and Tom will be pissed off.
That's why we all read indie books and nothing else at this point.
Yeah.
I still get two. I still get Batman and I still get Spider-Man. Those are the two.
Love the Flash. I have a buddy who buys the Flash, every Flash book.
I read a lot of
good. That's awesome.
Yeah, I read a good amount of Joshua Williamson's run on the Flash. Like, I not a good amount. I read probably 15 issues before I fell off of it. But I love those characters. But like you said, like it's just too much. It just changes too frequently. Like even just keeping up with like every time it's a brand new number one or whatever it may be. Like yeah, it's just too much.
Too many crises on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
There needs to be finite Earths. They can't have so many of them.
Well, that's the thing. I'd much rather have here's this 5-issue story, or here's even like a single issue story, right? But here's something, and then we're gonna keep going to something else. Like when a writer comes on, and like even if it's somebody I love, and they're just like, hey, the next 100 issues are gonna all tie together. And there's going to be 55 different artists, 1,000 different inkers, and
how many variants?
And you're not even going to be able to get an issue of the big ones because they're going to be bought out or sold off the shelf for $15.
Speculators will grab it or whatever.
Yeah, right. Like I just can't get it's too much. Like I'd rather you just be like, we're just going to fucking keep numbering where it is and just say, hey, here's 5 issues, 5 issues, 5 issues, 5 issues. There might be some themes that follow throughout the books, but and it's not like that anymore. It just makes it so difficult.
Yeah. I have a
very short attention span. Like I was reading Immortal Hulk and I think I stopped at issue 7 and then I think it went to I can't remember where it ended, but once it got to 30 something, I was like, fuck, I keep picking this book up and I'm not reading it and I'm subscribed to it. So every week it's getting put in my box and I'm just like, I've read 7 issues. Now they're at issue 30. Like, what the fuck am I spending this money for?
Yeah.
That's what's got the trade, right?
I could have just waited, but I'm stupid. So I just quit. I quit buying new books altogether. It's too much.
Except for the worst dudes. Gotta buy the worst dudes.
I bought the worst dudes and Deadly Class last week. So
Deadly Class, another great book. Yeah. My favorite Big Two stuff that I read recently was all like Daniel Warren Johnson did Wonder Woman Dead Earth. I love that. That was great.
Yeah.
My buddy Layla Del Duca did Wonder Woman Tempest Tossed. I read that. I think it was really, I mean, it's a young adult book that like, I'm not the target audience, but Layla's my friend and I love her work. And then when I got into the story, I got into it. I'm like, this is really compelling, you know, it was cool. And then like this Beta Ray Bill book, I'm loving it because it's like, he's able to tell a story and it's, I don't know how many issues it's going to be, but like, I don't really need to know what the hell else is going on in the Marvel universe. I can just read this story and get into it, you know?
Well,
and that's the way it used to be, right?
Well, his art's amazing too. Like, it's like one of those. As an artist, like I see his art and I'm like, "Fuck, what am I doing with my life? Like, why? I should just stop drawing and just fucking appreciate it."
I feel the same way.
It's
like, what am I doing? Let's go dig ditches. Like,
why am I even attempting to draw when there's motherfuckers that can draw crazy great shit like this? Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, tight stories are the best. I don't need all that.
Yeah, I agree.
Continuity, slave of continuity. That's continuity ruins storytelling to me. Like, ruins good stories sometimes.
Yeah, it suppresses any, like, if you have a thought and you want to put it into your story, and your next thought is, I can't do that because of what somebody else did, then right there is like,
that's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what you hear about too from like, you know, some of these writers who, you know, you'll hear stories about how like editors are essentially shaping these stories. And,
or they got a call to like somebody who's their friend and be like, "Hey, what are you doing in that book? Because I want to do
editorial
this."
teams. I got to call the Superman editorial team to see, can I put Superman in this book or can I not? You know.
Yeah, right.
And it's like it bothers me. And then like, and then they conditioned readers to like want to follow it. So I'll like watch a review about a Big Two thing that maybe isn't tied into continuity, and then they'll spend the whole review trying to figure out how does this play into the larger overarching character, and then just don't bother. Like, just enjoy it. Like, just read it and enjoy it. And if it's cool, who gives a fuck? Like, just, you know, it doesn't need to.
Well, I mean, you can poke holes in anything you look at in life, right? That's not the reason like some of this is created or any of this is created, right? It's to enjoy it. It's art. It's to make you smile or laugh or cry or feel something, right?
Something.
So
spark a conversation. At least,
exactly. Right. So like when you look in like this in-depth meaning amongst a one shot that came out, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you even reading comics? Like, just enjoy it.
I don't know. People gotta be sticklers, you know. It's weird. I don't get it. Someone said. I watched this review of our book, The Worst Dudes, and this person was like, "Oh, it's fun, whatever," but you know, and then they just got done reviewing like Batman and Star Wars comics and all this other stuff, which is great. I love Star Wars. Don't get me wrong, but like they're reviewing it and saying how great it is and da 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 da, and then like, well, I'm reading this and I'm like, well, what's the point? I'm like, we're telling a story. I mean, the point is to entertain you. Like, you're supposed to have a good time with it. That's the point. What's the point of
anything?
What's the point of anything? What's the point of the 5 Batman titles or the fucking a million Star Wars books or TV shows? Like, what's the point? Like, what is the point of that? Like, there's only 5. There's going to only be 5 issues of this, so we're not going to go on and waste your time for decades with all this crap. Like,
well, you brought up Batman and Star Wars, 2 of Tom's favorite things.
I mean, yeah.
No. I'm just being an asshole. No, I agree with you. It's like you can't. Like you should find meaning in the story and not why the story was created or how it fits in. Like you're missing the fucking purpose.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun, you know. Like when people watch the first Star Wars movie, they weren't like, "Well, how does this fit into the Battlestar Galactica universe or whatever?" It's just like, "Oh, this is an interesting thing." Like, but we kind of lost that in a way because everything has become commerce and you know, corporate sponsorship, and you know, every comic book is like a pitch for a movie or not. You know, you read it and you're like, this is more a treatment for a film or a TV show than as a comic book,
Right.
Which I don't hate because like I get like, hopefully if someone said the War Studios is going to be a cartoon, I'd be like, yeah, great, do it. Like I'm all for that. I think there's room for all of it, But
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we just set out to make a comic because we wanted to make a comic, Like we didn't want to like, it wasn't like, oh, this is going to be a TV show or a movie, And that wasn't the idea, So I think sometimes people look at these things and they're like, well, I really couldn't see this being anything else. And they kind of try to devalue it in that sense, Because I think we've been conditioned these days to think that like, oh, well, there has to be more. Like, what do you mean? This is all there is? It's just this. It's just making a comic. Like, yeah, that's all it is. We're not trying to conquer the world with it. Just
How dare you hand me this flappy piece of paper and tell me to enjoy it?
yeah, how dare you try to live my life with a good time?
What are these pictures? They're making me angry and aroused.
yeah.
Okay, so since we're talking about the big two, say Marvel or DC contacted you tomorrow, and they're like, you can work on any series you want. What do you want to draw?
Marvel, it would be Moon Knight.
Nice.
I love Moon Knight, and I'd like to do explore like a schizophrenic, maladjusted Mark Spector,
Yes. So more leaning towards that.
Kind of like that David Finch run.
Yeah.
I forget who the writer was. It was
Jeff Lemire, right? Or was it? Yeah. Did Garth Ennis do it first?
Maybe.
Or Warren
Garth
Ellis.
Ennis or Jeff Lemire. Warren Ellis, maybe. Yeah. Any one of those dudes. There was a run where David Finch drew it, and it was just him like on pills and all mentally screwed up, and I love that. And exploring that, it would be fun. And then on DC, I always say Booster Gold. I always feel like Booster Gold. There hasn't been in that Booster Gold run or a story, a Booster Gold story that is kind of like the Booster Gold story.
Yeah,
and I kind of feel like I like the idea of like him being a corporate sponsored superhero. Intrigues me. Like I think there's an image of him I saw. I don't know if it was a cover or if it was or what it was from. It was years ago, and it was him with his armor, but it had all these like decals on it, like almost like a NASCAR, or like Pennzoil and all this other shit, because he was like getting sponsored by all these corporate sponsors. And I think that would be a fun story of like him, like being a corporate superhero and then butting up against, all the bureaucracy and what's that?
I was like against actual villains.
Actual villains, yeah, corporate actual villains, yeah. And trying to break through that structure, and then as him, his character, because his personality is kind of dipshit. So him like getting woke, quote unquote, like woke Booster Gold would be fun.
I actually bought Booster Gold,
and also I'd make is it a new one or the new run of his, the new series?
No, like the very first series. And I kept thinking like
70s or 80s.
Yeah, who talks about Booster Gold? Nobody.
I think there is a new series. I think there's a Blue and Gold series coming out with Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. I think it's like Ted Cord too. So it's like, and I love that stuff. Like I love Booster Gold.
Yeah.
I love the Blue and Gold thing. Like the two of them together, the dynamic is great. So I'm happy that you said that. Like that.
Yeah.
That's
he's underserved, like he's a great he's a lot of potential there. I think also like I drew one Booster Gold one time on this. I did this pinup of like Marvel versus DC, and I kind of did a riff on the characters. And the Booster Gold I made, they were kind of non-binary. I made it like an androgynous Booster Gold, so I kind of like the idea of like kind of maybe tweaking that character and making it more like a social commentary too, and like doing that would be interesting. Just kind of having fun with it, and like doing it like they do with DWJ, where they give them like, hey, you got 5 issues to tell a story about this character, and you can tie it into the overarching story if you want or not, and you can just spin it off and it could be Elseworlds thing or whatever, and that's probably what I would like to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but also like I'd be like I'm an indie guy, but also I'd be honored to draw anything for the big two, and also get that paycheck. That'd be nice. So I'd draw.
They come to you. We want you to draw Damian Wayne series. I'm like, fuck, I've already drawn this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Gleb Malikoff is already doing a great job, so I'd probably do that character a disservice after him. But yeah, they'd look at the worst days and be like, yeah, it's draw Damian Wayne. You're like, man, I don't see it, but whatever, I'll draw it.
That's
Spider-Man too. I always love Spider-Man. Spidey's my guy. He's just fun. Him web swinging is fun to draw.
Yeah.
He's the best. I feel like my art style kind of suits that too. Like I'm a little cartoony, so the more elastic the character is, probably the better.
I think that Spider-Man is just one of those characters where, like, I think maybe, like you said, like he's just got all these shapes and there's so much. He's so dynamic as a character that to see how these and there's been so many artists that have drawn him, right? Like it's always so interesting to see an artist's interpretation, like especially like I love seeing artists who like aren't necessarily ever like worked on him like in the proper sense, right? Or like drawn a book, and just to see their interpretation, because nothing's held back. They can do whatever they want. This is a single picture, or in my head it's an entire story, right? Whatever it is. So I love watching art. Like I feel like draw your Spider-Man for me is like the litmus test almost of like I don't know. That's just me. I also love the character so much. So that's It's what I love about comics too. Like I love seeing different artist takes. Like I love Batman Black and White, those books when they put those out, because they always have these different artistic teams, and you get to see like, oh wow, I get to see like Nick Dragata's Batman. That's dope. Like or like DWJ's Batman or Sophie Campbell's Batman. Like I want to see all these artists, different versions of this character, and it's only for like 5 or 6 pages, which is cool because it's like in and out quick and not but. That to me is like, I want to see artists who I like. I want to see their take on these characters. And then, if they get like a run on it, that's cool too. If it's a good story, that's the new Batman Black and White has been pretty awesome for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only DC thing I'm probably reading outside of Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I read them too. I read them. I either buy them online or buy them in physical form, and I'll read them because they're just fun. They're fun stories, They're short, and it's really just for me it's like a Batman art book, because I get to see like a Becky Cloonan Batman story or something. Someone who you don't normally get to see draw Batman all the time. Batman. That's always fun. So
as much as I don't like Batman, I actually own more than one Batman Black and White statue, literally just because of the art. And
because they're dope, right? You don't like the character.
I can give two shits about who's actually wearing that outfit or whatever, but the fact that they're sculpting it after a person that may not draw it as often, or like they made a Gerard Way Batman, and he obviously he wrote it, but the style of that Batman is just so different compared to most, and so it's cool to have, but Batman still sucks.
Yeah, I like that too.
Well, it's been about an hour and a half, and I think we're I know it has been. It's been awesome talking to you. I think this is serious. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, thanks for coming on, man. I mean, I certainly added this to my pull list. I'm excited to pick up the next issue. I definitely will be. We'll make sure to look up all the upcoming Kickstarters that are coming up, and put those out there for everybody to grab. I definitely know that Dust Pirates is going to be one that I'm going to look into for sure. I'm excited to see just a little glimpse of some of the art for sure.
Yeah, it's an 80-page graphic novel. 24 pages of it are finished, colored, drawn, lettered.
That's awesome.
And the money that we make off the Kickstarter just goes to finish it and then print it and get it to people. It might be published by Scout when it's funded. We're not exactly sure yet, but those guys did Metal Shark Pro over there, so they have a working relationship with the Scout folks.
That's great.
Yeah, it's colors by Josh Jensen, who's a great colorist. Letters by Chaz Pangburn. We just filmed the Kickstarter video the other day, so it's pretty funny. won't give it away, but it's full of pirate puns. So I've been watching all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies just to get back in the groove of drawing it. I drew the 24 pages like a year ago, and until we figured out what we were going to do with them. So now I'm going back to revisiting that world soon. So I'll be drawing those dudes again.
I know you mentioned earlier that you like Akira and like manga. I don't know if you like if you're an anime fan or anything like that, but
oh, Jesus
when I was younger, I watched Guyver, Vampire Under D.
Oh
Akira.
yeah, that's really good stuff.
Yeah, those are the only ones I ever really watched, to be honest. Like I just started watching One Punch Man. I love that. He's great.
Yeah.
But it's on Tubi and it's not dubbed, so I can't watch it when I'm drawing because I gotta watch the closed captioning. So I watch it at night before I go to sleep, and then I also started watching what's the one where they I forget his name. It's a new thing. I'm developing another thing that I can't really talk about with somebody else. That is a bigger project, and it's influenced by an anime that I forget the name, but I've been watching it, and it's about this character. He's kind of a dick. Oh shit!
Well, I was just gonna say, for whatever reason, like thinking about your art style and like the character design and how many different characters and everything about it, and then thinking about the just the name Dust Pirates made me think of like One Piece. And I don't know if you've ever heard or seen One Piece before, but
I've seen it. I've heard of it. I know of it. I'm not.
It's like 9,000 episodes.
Yeah, it's got 9,000 episodes. Literally, it's still going on.
Yeah.
But so
I definitely people say to me like, "Oh, there's like a manga influence in your work. You must read a lot of manga." I'm like, "No, I really don't. Like, I don't. I definitely, I guess, see it, but like, I'm not. I don't read it, So I think my stuff's more influenced by like the 80s and 90s stuff that I read.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of everything in it, and I think that's what happens after you've been doing it for so long, and you draw from life. You eventually just develop your own style, and then whatever comes out is just like a combination of all your influences and all your experiences, and that's kind of like what I think makes an artist unique. So I think I'm happy with the way it's coming out so far. Far.
That's awesome. Well, again, so definitely everybody go check out Tony on Instagram and Twitter, and everybody needs to subscribe to the Kickstarter and throw down on this, because I think it's definitely well worth it. Go pick up The Worst Dudes.
Number 2 drops first Wednesday in July.
First Wednesday in July, perfect. So, and if you like over the top, like 7
July 7th.
July 7th. Oh, okay.
July 7th.
If you like, if you like profanity and something that's got a real message though in it, and
if you don't like the Bible, check out this book.
Yeah,
if you like the Bible, you might. Some people like to read stuff that makes them angry. So
yeah,
that's
true too. Hate reading.
If
you want to hate read this book, we suggest it.
Yeah, if you want to buy it, burn it. I don't care. Just buy it.
Send it to a second print. I don't care how. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. If we get a Dark Horse book to a second print, that'd be amazing.
Ultimately,
we shattered the pre-order numbers that we thought we were going to get.
Well, that's awesome.
We broke 10K, which is like, we didn't think we would break 10K with this book. We would have been happy with half that.
That's super great.
Yeah. We were like, we got the email. We're like, is this 0 in the right spot? Like, are you sure this is the right? And the editor's like, no, man, this is the whole pre-order numbers. Like, all right, dope. Like,
that's fucking awesome. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Thanks for having me, man. This is fun.
Yeah, Tony, we appreciate it, man. We certainly hope to talk to you more in the future, and
sure.
Especially as more books come out, you definitely got the support of us. I think that goes without saying.
You
guys aren't that evil. I don't know why you guys are so evil. You're nice guys.
Well, see, whenever I first came up with this, there was 4 of us, and we were called the 4 Horsemen. Like the Well,
Or like the wrestlers.
Like the wrestlers, the Four Horsemen. I like the wrestlers. I like wrestling. So.
Are you the Arn Anderson? You look like an Arn Anderson.
I'm obviously Ric Flair. I mean,
Okay, yeah.
Obviously.
Sorry.
Woo!
Don't put me in the figure four.
But then we added Tom, and I was like, we can't be called the Four Horsemen and have 5 members, so it doesn't make any sense.
I'm sorry. So sad.
I don't know how Masters of Evil. I kind of wanted like a group name that was like comic book.
Sounds like Legion of Doom.
Like comic book related, but
Yeah.
So
yeah, I dig it. I'm just playing.
We're here.
Yeah.
I'm definitely Arn Anderson. It's no big deal.
Man, you have that belly to belly. You don't mess with Arn Anderson.
I know. I'm gonna cry after the podcast. Oh fuck this guy! Calling me Arn Anderson.
Well, you do one of 3 things after a podcast: go to sleep, eat, or cry. So
I ate chicken strips before the podcast. I had to. I was like, I have to eat something.
Man, I got some chicken wings actually.
Yeah, shit. You got food right before we started, and it's an hour and a half later, and now you're gonna eat.
It's okay. It's okay. It teaches me moderation. You know, you gotta be able to
text your friends after this. Arn Anderson fucking held me up from eating my chicken fucking wings. God damn, Arn Anderson.
God damn it. What's his name? The Terminator? No, what was his nickname?
Arn Anderson?
He had like a nickname that was like anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well,
he wasn't a Nature Boy, that's for sure.
How many?
Look at him.
Oh, you looking it up now?
It just says the Enforcer double.
The Enforcer. Yeah. That's it. The Enforcer. Yeah.
Look how angry he looks. I don't know if you can. Oh shit!
He's just. You know what? Arn Anderson may or may not play a part in the Worst Dudes. I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding. Just know that Aubrey Aubrey wrote the professional the complete story of professional wrestling with Chris Moreno. It's a graphic novel that's critically acclaimed, and he's a huge wrestling fan. Aubrey, he used to work for the WWE, so we might.
You might see me. I'm gonna need you guys to send me money.
Tell you
through
that
Bitcoin.
maybe there might be a wrestling connection in the Worst Dudes. We'll see. You just gotta read it to find out.
Dogecoin sent to me, please.
Well, that's awesome. It's it's been great having you, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Tommy, you want to take us out there, bud? Talk about next week.
We did it all. No, I'm kidding.
All right.
Again, thank you, Tony. We appreciate the hell out of you for being here. Next week is going to be a very basic comic book review that hopefully you'll enjoy as well. It's another image or a image title that we're reading. Headlopper from Andrew McLean. Really cool dude, writer, artist. Put this book out. They're real thick issues. They come out quarterly, I believe, is what they are. But it's a fantastic book. So we're going to read that. We're going to read all 3, right? That was the goal.
Yeah, I'm going to read 1. So
yeah,
it's
we'll see.
It's equivalent to like 18 issues or something like that. I think.
Something crazy.
Like yeah.
So go ahead and purchase all of them, and then we'll actually see how many we read. But do yourself a favor, like we've already said once before. Go buy The Worst Dudes that came out last week. Issue 2 comes out July 7th, I think. I already forgot what I noticed.
Yeah, July 7th.
July 7th, perfect.
It's
a fantastic book overall. It's funny. It's gross. It's got everything you need. A big pink pussy, as we said. So thank you again, Tony, for being here. And
thanks for having me.
Always forget, or never forget, I apologize, that the Masters of Evil hate you a lot. I appreciate you for being here.
I hate you, and